Stop thinking negatively. Insights from the Stoic Road and Marcus Aurelius. Each of us has a storm inside of us that is constantly roiling with negative thoughts, resentments, fears, and angers. These thoughts don't just come and go, they linger, weigh us down, and distort how we see the world. In order to regain inner peace, we must fight this inner turmoil. Marcus, the US emperor and philosopher, was well aware of this. He was often battling his own thoughts and telling himself every day that in order to live a good life, we must learn to rid our minds of stupid ideas. The Stoic road requires us to develop self-control and fortitude because, as Epictetus taught, it is not things themselves that concern us, but rather our opinions about them. This means that our judgments about the world's happenings are what matter. The majority of our fears and resentments are self-made. We allow our erratic emotions too much influence over our behavior, which ruins our relationships, and take away our happiness. To follow this road by realizing that our thoughts are not facts. Just because a thought arises doesn't imply we should follow it or listen to it. In meditation, Marcus Aurelius taught us to examine our thoughts as an outsider might, and he writes that you have control over your thoughts, not external circumstances. Recognize this, and you'll find resilience. Consider the foundation of Stoic resilience is the liberation to be unaffected by what we cannot control and to control what we can. However, it is not sufficient to simply acknowledge negative ideas. We must destroy them whenever an anxious thought arises. Every time we feel angry, we challenge it. We wonder what the purpose of this is, and if it doesn't lead to wisdom or inner peace, then it's just noise. Seneca understood this discipline because he thought that anger only made us weaker and that no plague had ever killed humanity. He also cautioned, pointing out the chaos that unbridled emotions cause us, that in order to become powerful in our lives, we must overcome the reactions that enslave us. The Stoics advocated confrontation rather than denial or concealment. When our darkest ideas arise, we acknowledge them, analyze them, and ask ourselves if they are helping us become the person we want to be. If not, we let them go. It's that easy and difficult. This daily practice is difficult, but it is the way to true freedom. Imagine living your life free from imagined anxieties, past hurts, and small grudges. As Marcus Aurelius stated, the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. This principle transforms every challenge into an opportunity. Imagine looking at every obstacle and saying, "This too is fuel for my growth," because every challenge presents a chance to strengthen our spirit. Those who pursue Stoic wisdom understand that this is not a gentle path, one of avoidance or compromise. Rather, it requires fortitude in the face of hardship and composure in the face of chaos. We must eradicate our negative thoughts, not by repressing them, but by transforming ourselves so that we can face any obstacle with the resolve of a warrior and the composure of a philosopher. Because there is an invisible battle going on inside each of us that is fought in silence, out of sight, against the flood of thoughts and feelings that attempt to control us. The great Stoic philosopher, Emperor Marcus Aurelius, was intimately familiar with this battle, but he also understood that the most formidable enemy was within his writings. His meditations were reminders to himself that the quality of your thoughts depends upon the happiness of your life, which is universally true but deeply personal. In other words, our lives mirror the inner worlds we cultivate to be free, and we must free ourselves from thoughts that do nothing but drain and weaken us. Resentments, anxieties, fears, and angers are the whispers that thrive in the darkest corners of our minds. These are the whispers that can poison our peace, cloud our judgment, and blind us to the potential of each day to truly live with freedom and strength. Recognizing that our ideas and feelings are not truths or rules that we must follow is the first lesson the Stoics teach. Epicus famously stated that what matters is not what happens to you, but how you respond to it. The majority of our pain is not brought on by the outside world, but rather by how we perceive it and our decision to let bad thoughts enter and persist. However, we have the same freedom to ignore these thoughts as we do to engage them. This path isn't about suppressing or ignoring feelings. Rather, the Stoic approach is much more brave and involves confronting negative thoughts such as, "I'm not good enough," "This always happens to me," and "Nothing will ever change." We face these thoughts head-on and ask ourselves if they are fostering our weakness or helping us grow, and we learn to see our thoughts as a surgeon examines symptoms clinically without passing judgment and always focuses on solutions. Seneca, another titan of Stoic wisdom, warned of the perils of unbridled emotions, especially rage. He said that anger was not only harmful, but also self-destructive, dragging down the one who harbors it. No plague has ever claimed the human race. Stoicism emphasizes that letting go of anger results in clarity rather than a loss of strength. Letting go of our wrath indicates that injustice no longer governs us, not that we tolerate it. The capacity to keep a composed, reasonable head under any situation is true strength in the Stoic sense. As emperor, Marcus Aurelius endured betrayal, disease, and war, but he reminded himself that he had control over his thoughts and not external circumstances. He understood this discipline of mind better than most. Recognize this, and you will find strength. Picture the tranquility of living each day with this knowledge, unafraid of anything outside of you, knowing that your strength lies in how you respond, not in the circumstance. In order to eradicate negative thinking, the Stoics held that we must replace it with purpose. Negative thoughts are like we grow where there is emptiness and lack of direction, so we ask ourselves, what am I here to do? Instead of living aimlessly, we fill our days with purpose because we know that purpose drives away doubt and distraction. Our thoughts become a stronghold that can withstand the storms of fear or resentment when we take tiny steps every day in the direction of something worthwhile. This requires constant discipline. Meditation as a daily method of introspection and self-correction. Aurelius reminds himself that what prevents action becomes the path for the Stoic. Every hardship and perceived setback serves as a sharpening stone that makes us stronger and more resilient, helping us to develop our inner strength. The storms we face are chances to practice. Control over our thoughts, we imagine living a life free from the constraints of pessimistic thinking. Face these challenges as they arise, knowing that each one eliminates our weaknesses and moves us closer to the ideal of self-possession. Imagine waking up every day with a clear, calm focus and knowing that we have the ability to control how we react to whatever comes our way. This is the Stoic way, the path of inner mastery, where we choose growth above comfort, discipline over distraction, and clarity over gluttony. As the Stoics did, those who follow this path will discover a freedom beyond anything the outside world can provide. In the words of Epicus, no one is free who is not master of himself. This path is not simple or for the faint of heart. It demands us to face ourselves honestly, confront our deepest fears, and confront our most destructive patterns. Perhaps the most powerful man of his era, Marcus Aurelius, lived up to this ideal as emperor. He had everything, but he understood that true power came not from having armies or money, but rather from having a strong mind. He wrote, "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be one." These words reveal the Stoic code to stop allowing negative thoughts and doubts to keep us from living fully, from striving for. The Stoics encouraged us to examine our thoughts directly without passing judgment because he understood that everyone has an inner critic that can be unrelentingly cruel and self-defeating. He taught us through his writings to recognize that this voice is not reality, but rather a mental habit that we must unlearn in order to walk this path. Recognize their existence, but deny them the authority to control our lives. The mind is both the architect and the prisoner of our suffering when we allow our judgments to remain unquestioned, shackling us to the confines of our fears. Epicurus, a great Stoic philosopher who was born a slave but was regarded as a great thinker, taught that circumstances did not define one's worth, insecurities and bitterness. Epicurus held that the realization that we have control over our decisions, even while we have no influence over the circumstances that define our lives, is the key to freedom. When our anger rises, we must face it head-on and ask ourselves, why am I angry? And what is the purpose of this? If we look closely at our anger, we frequently discover that it is a transient reaction, a spark that burns brightly but fades just as quickly when starved of attention. This is the Stoic approach to negative thinking. Anger, according to the Roman Stoic who counseled emperors, is the most deadly emotion of all. If anger is not controlled, it sometimes causes more harm to us than the pain that causes it. Every time we let anger rule us, we cede authority to outside forces, beyond ourselves, but each time we choose to remain calm instead, we regain our authority and demonstrate to the world that no injustice or provocation can sabotage the sanctity of our inner serenity and put an end to pessimistic thoughts. The Stoics advised actively changing it rather than just avoiding it. The Stoics viewed every negative thought as a challenge and a test of character. When fear strikes, we don't run away from it. Instead, we examine it and ask ourselves, what am I really afraid of? Frequently, we find that our fears are irrational constructs of a mind that tries to shield us from imagined dangers. Marcus Aurelius used to tell himself that if anything outside of you hurts, it's not the thing itself that bothers you, but rather your perception of it. This is radical acceptance rather than denial. Instead of rejecting reality, the Stoics totally accepted it, embracing both its highs and lows with an unwavering spirit. True Stoic practice entails facing ourselves at our deepest levels and asking what thoughts or feelings are preventing us from reaching our full potential. These mental obstacles can be overcome by looking at, challenging, and eventually letting go of them. The Stoics teach us that without self-awareness, there can be no progress in meditation. To kill negative thinking, we must be willing to delve deep, to find and eliminate every thought that does not serve us, but this is not a solitary journey. Marcus Aurelius writes that the source of good is found within and will always bubble up if you ever dig our inner strength. Our potential for greatness is buried beneath the weight of unexamined thoughts and habits. When we remember that we are not alone in our troubles and that we all face the same inner obstacles and human issues, Stoicism urges us to lean on one another for support. By doing this, we join a larger community of people who are looking for wisdom and resilience. Seneca once said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for a kindness to lift ourselves. We must lift each other. We must show that it is possible to overcome negativity, not by pretending it doesn't exist, but by rising above it. To kill negative thinking is to commit to a life of purpose, to a journey where every setback, every hardship is transformed into an opportunity for growth. The Stoic path is not an easy one. It requires dedication, discipline, and a relentless focus on inner strength, but for those who walk it, the reward is profound, a mind unbreakable, a spirit unyielding, a life lived with true freedom. Let us go forward. Then, as Marcus Aurelius would urge us with strength, with clarity, and with an unshakable commitment to become the masters of our minds. We do this not only for ourselves, but for all who walk alongside us on this path. for in killing our own negative thinking, we inspire others to rise and do the same. If you found this message valuable, remember, Stoicism isn't just about philosophy, it's about action. Take these principles and apply them daily to build resilience and inner peace. If you want more content like this, hit that subscribe button and turn on notification so you never miss a new video, and drop a comment below. Tell us which Stoic principle you're working to build in your life. Remember, the journey to mastering yourself is a lifelong path, and we're all in this together. Thanks for watching, and keep pushing forward with purpose.